We've got 5 characters now.
Wow.
That's so many options of who could die.
We almost have a full Pokemon team.
I was really shocked that nobody died last time. Like, Raven just felt like he just had, like, red shirt painted on his name tag.
100%. Like, oh, new character. It's like, oh, which one's gonna die? Nice start.
We pull quietly out of the driveway in Carl's car, which makes almost no sound since it's a hybrid. Leo's driving, of course. Carl's still woozy, and Leo actually had to help him walk around to find the keys. I sit in the back, between Carl and TJ, while Kudzu sits in the passenger seat next to Leo. I'd overheard Leo mumbling to Kudzu to sit next to him while I helped Carl into the car. We're just never going to find out about the 6-inch fuzzy thing in the dark.
I guess it's the spider?
It was just described, and then we moved on, and I'm like, what the fuck was it? Find out in fucking Jenna's route or something 20 hours from now. Something about them needing to be able to get out of the car quickly with their guns if things went down. Leo doesn't floor it like I'm expecting him to, but we move down the bench of the mountain and through the town speedily enough. I see TJ look out his own window intently, and I can only imagine it's to see if he can spot Jenna, maybe even Flynn, I guess.
Dude, I don't feel good.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Carl mumbles next to me, both hands on his stomach, twisting at the fabric of his hoodie. Just puke on the floor if you have to. I don't think Leo's gonna stop.
Dude, well, that's awful.
Is he sitting in the middle?
Yeah, he's sitting in the middle of the back seat.
I've had the experience of being like, I'm gonna puke, when I'm like in the back seat of a 3-row car that only has 2 rows of doors, obviously. So like,
yeah,
you have to fold the seat to get out, and I was in the far part of the back seat. So we had to emergency, like, the person in the folding seat had to get out, and then everybody on my bench had to get out in like an emergency, like help, theater on fire situation. It's like the worst person to get sick.
You will not see people move faster than you saying like, oh, I'm gonna puke, move.
Carl leans over and puts his head between his knees, groaning. That gets TJ's attention, and he starts rubbing the ram's back slowly.
Good thing it feels like there's nothing in me. So what the hell is going on? Where's Jenna?
TJ frowns. We don't know.
What happened then?
I take a deep breath, trying to figure out how to explain. Well, we're not sure what's going on everywhere, but on Saturday, while I was at the diner with Leo... ... I go through the story as quickly as I can, explaining to Carl what's been going on. The rest of the car is quiet, so I get anxious when I get to the part about Brian and skip over it as much as I can. I only mention that he'd held me there for a day. By the time I finish, we're already passing the lake.
Huh. So it's, is this Sunday already? Sunday morning?
Yeah, I guess so.
So I was out a whole fucking day?
I don't say anything in response.
What happened to you, Tej? Are you okay?
Carl turns his gaze on TJ, who just nods. Yeah, I was seeing things too. People chasing me. I'm okay now, though. TJ actually does seem pretty stable now, after everything that's happened. Maybe taking care of Carl is taking his mind off whatever happened to him. Either way, he doesn't expand on what he saw. Which feels like he's hiding what it is. What is TJ most afraid of?
TJ, I feel like TJ is like the darkest of them all.
The darkest of them all?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to look at setup and payoff of narrative structure and whatnot, then my first guess is that he's seeing Sydney.
Yeah. I mean, like, his whole situation with Sydney is like the thing it's like the big dark corner of the story that like I want to shed light on it so bad. It's like, it's over there and I see it. And
because it was immediately set up that he is this tragic story that unites all of them, which is Sydney's death. and that TJ is the poor kid that actually witnessed it, and that's just introduced as like a random tragedy, sad thing that's like, oh, it sucks that the youngest, most innocent of them saw the worst thing.
But then
this storyline had a weird line that suggested an ambiguity of whether or not TJ killed Sydney.
And Flynn was kind of suggesting that in the original playthrough too, which you just think he's being an asshole because Flynn's just an asshole.
Yeah.
But then this whole bit with Duke that was like, yeah, last time this happened, like a murder had happened. It all happened when you guys came back. Wasn't there a kid that died? One of you guys murdered him, right? Like he's kind of like
there's like just enough ambiguity to the answer where you're like, hang on a minute, should I be reassessing TJ right now? What the fuck happened?
He is the most unassuming, which is why I think.
And it makes me wonder like what. Yeah, like it makes me think that he's seeing something like related to Sydney because he won't talk about what it is. Mm-hmm. Like Carl talked about what he saw because it wasn't like, oh no, my trauma house. I'm so terrified of non-Euclidean space.
He didn't have much of like a
there's no guilt tied to non-Euclidean space.
Liminal spaces or whatever.
It is like well, it's not a liminal space because it was full of destinations.
No, I mean liminal
it's just weird
spaces.
Hauntedness.
Yeah, and I guess liminal spaces imply that there should be people around, but there are not. Like public places.
It's that this gets mixed up a lot, but the definition of a liminal space is essentially like the transitory in-between spaces between destinations.
Yeah.
It's like liminal spaces are just specifically the places that are not destinations. Like a liminal space is that part when you're walking into a Rayleigh's and there's like a cart return and there's some like quarter machines for little like children's toys and so on, and there's automatic doors and that's all. There's nothing there. Like you don't go to that place, you just pass through it in a few seconds.
Dude, my brother and I were just having a conversation about how creepy it is when you're playing a video game and there's definitely like a place you can access in the video game, but there's like nothing for you to do there.
Yeah.
So it's weird that they let you access that place in the first place because it's like, what are you supposed to do here? This place has no purpose, but I'm allowed in it. Like
it's like you're seeing behind the theater facade to nothing. And you're just like, why is there a very long series of hallways that leads to a dead end and there's not even like an item here? You're like, why
was I allowed to go this way?
Yeah.
The example I used was, or we were talking about Simpsons Hit and Run, because you can go into like Ralph Wiggum's house, but there's like no point into going into Ralph Wiggum's house. You can like go into his backyard, but it's like in the corner of the map and there's like no point in being there. But it's like kind of creepy for some reason because it's like slightly low res. Like you weren't supposed to really be seeing it, but you can just go there.
Forgotten stuff.
And it's like, it's creepy. It's creepy. Yeah. I love it. I'm getting all excited thinking about all these creepy things now.
Yeah, it's like, it reminds me of like playing World of Warcraft for like thousands of hours and then learning about how in the original World of Warcraft, before they added flying to the original areas, there was just whole chunks of the world that were essentially you see, like the world was just a facade. Like there was just mountains that would be around each region that would just stop you from going any further in each direction. And so like, and the whole thing was a series of like little like squares or circles that were just like each zone, and they are all end to end, and like there's little paths in the mountains between each one to connect them. But like if you look at all of those combined spaces and map them out and then look at the map of the region, it doesn't fill the whole thing. Like there's
so there's just completely unused space.
And when what people would realize is there was like tricks you could do to like jump on the walls and do certain things that would allow you to actually get past the mountains into the gaps between the areas that you're actually supposed to play in, and there's just nothing there. It's just like a big flat expanse and a weird mix of like jagged, unfinished terrain that you were never supposed to look at.
Ew,
and it was just there the whole time.
Spooky.
For years. And it's just like, it's just this game you thought you knew and you'd play for all this time, and then you just see this bizarre like nothing space that's just there.
I think it's scary. It's scary in its loneliness, and it's scary in its like lack of reason. I don't know. It's
you walk off the edge of the flat earth and here there be dragons.
Is that a reference?
Yeah.
To what?
I don't know. I thought that was... I don't even know, actually. I thought Here There Be Dragons might just be... I think those are tied to the idea of, like, they're just the concept of there just being a limit to, like, the known world, and beyond that is just this unknowable danger, but it might just be a reference to a specific piece of media. I don't know.
Well,
the Bible.
Guess what I'm looking up? There's no dragons in the Bible.
How do you
are
know?
they? I don't know. Yeah.
That was weirdly confident claim you had there.
I just think the dragons are too cool for the Bible.
I mean, angels are too cool for the Bible, but they're in there. They're fucking crazy.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna make a joke about Evangelion, but I couldn't figure out how to phrase it. Yeah, the only Bible I read is Evangelion.
The Shinji Bible.
Yeah.
Carl shivers and puts his head back down while TJ continues to rub his back. A few minutes of silence go by before Carl speaks up again.
That feels kind of nice. Reminds me of my mom.
Yeah, actually my mom did it too. I thought it might help.
Hey, I love you, just so you know. All of you guys. I'm glad I'm not in that place anymore.
I love you too, Carl. And everyone else.
Even you, Kudzu, who I just met. Oh, yeah. Wow, Carl read my mind.
That's how Carl do.
You too, Raccoon Man. He doesn't even know his name. Thanks.
Yeah. I affirm my own love for everyone.
In my head, and don't say it out loud to them because I don't want them to know.
Kudzu glances back at us before turning his attention out his own window. Leo doesn't say anything from the front, his focus solely on the road ahead of him. I watch the desert whip by us, for the first time feeling somewhat safe as the town disappears behind us. But, of course, it doesn't last long.
What's that? On the side of the road, there.
Hmm? Leo turns his head in the direction that Kudzu points. We all do. What we see changes everything for me from that point on.
Oh gosh, what is it? Oh gosh, what is it? Episode ends. Just kidding. We're like 5 minutes in.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Just the fucking Ruins theme just starts playing. Oh, okay. Sure.
Uh-oh.
Things were crazy, and I had a hard time believing anything was happening. But it was explainable.
I don't like this.
Oh boy. People like Duke, Brian, TJ, even Carl were all seeing things. But it was kind of a distant thing in a way. Something everyone else was experiencing. Something I was exempt from. But now, there it is. Something I can't explain right in front of me.
What is it?
What is that? Oh my gosh. TJ covers his mouth. Carl sits up straight, trying to see. Leo slows down as we pass. There's my car, all of the windows shattered. What? Oh, Duke.
Yeah.
Oh, Duke's fucked.
Oh.
Duke is so fucked.
Oh, I forgot.
And there's Duke, lying a dozen feet away from the open door on the driver's side. And there, crouching over him, is something I can't explain.
Holy fuck!
We got a Trevor Henderson monster in here. It's going for us.
What is this, Lisa?
What the? Oh my god. Duke's so fucked.
I gotta lean in and look at this.
I think it's time to turn around. I think we should turn around. We should turn around. Oh god, it's probably so fast. Look how long its legs are.
Is he holding Duke's head?
I don't see anything in the hands. I think that's just Duke down there. He looks like he still has his head.
It looks like there's something under his...
Duke is extremely dead.
Yeah.
The blood is just everywhere. In like big streaks. Did he pop his head? This is not good. Okay, so this monster is an echo? Confirmed?
Dude, I love this guy.
All of its every limb is every limb is a different length. That's really bad.
That's disgusting.
That's really bad.
Yeah, you guys aren't leaving.
Okay.
What do we do? What do we do about this?
I mean, we just have to see what happens to them. Unless it was the choice. Hairless, body and limbs long. Way too long.
Yeah.
The head comes up, and all I see are 3 holes and blood. TJ screams next to me, and Leo shouts something before stepping on the gas, slamming me back into my seat. I try to look back, but whatever it was is gone.
You went past it?
Oh.
You went past it, you crazy person?
At least, it's gone from where it was, because I see something move next to my window, and I turn to face it. And it stares back at me. But only for a moment. That thing, whatever the fuck it is, disappears almost the instant I register that it's there. I'm only staring out into the blackness of the desert. Oh, we're in the window seat. No. Still, 3 holes, 2 eyes and a mouth blink back at me in a sort of after-image before that too vanishes. What was that? What was that? TJ grabs my arm, claws digging painfully into my skin. I'm too shocked to even pull away as TJ leans forward next to me, staring out my window. At least I know I'm not the only one who saw it. TJ squeaks again, but no one answers him. What is it?
I don't know. Some kind of animal, maybe.
I've never seen anything like that before.
Could have had a disease, lost all of its fur or something. Maybe Duke hit it.
But it was walking! TJ's arm is looped around mine and I can feel his body shaking. I look over my shoulder, through the back window. At this point, my car is a good distance away, only visible because the headlights are on, a streak of light fading out across the desert. Duke. Is he?
Blah.
Some dry retching noises followed by heavy splattering sound cuts me off. I wouldn't call that dry retching then.
Yeah.
Carl's hunched over in the seat, head between his legs. It isn't hard to figure out what just happened, especially when the smell hits me. Oh my gosh, Carl! TJ looks torn between blanching away and comforting the ram. Carl comes back up, looking like he's about to say something before diving forward again. A much louder retch, followed by a much quieter plopping sound follows.
Oh, gross.
It's really gross. Not now. I grimace, feeling my own stomach roil.
God.
Kuzu's looking back at us, a paw up to his nose.
You okay?
Carl keeps his head down a while longer, his fingers twisting into the fabric of his shorts. TJ tentatively rubs his back.
I would have done it out the window. I don't want to open any of the windows now, though.
It's okay. Leo, are there any napkins up here? I would not be redirecting my attention right now. What the fuck was that? Leo, who's been silent up until now, remains silent. He's staring out the windshield hard, paws on the wheel in a death grip. After a moment of silence, Kuzu checks the cup holders, then drops open the glove compartment. After rummaging around for a minute, he pulls out a stack of fast food-style napkins. He hands them back to Carl, who starts mopping up whatever mess he's made on himself. During all this, I'm still glancing out the windows. Not head-on, though, because I'm terrified I'm going to look straight into those eyes again. We drive in silence for the next 5 minutes, with no creature in sight, thankfully. But I don't know what to think right now. There's no way what I saw was some animal, like Kuzu implied. The way it moved, the way it was crouched, and most of all, its face. I've never seen anything like it. At least, anything that's not a Halloween costume. Maybe one of the locals dressed up in a costume or something and killed Duke with the costume.
Yeah.
But then
totally.
How the fuck did it keep up with the car? Were we going that fast? Leo did slow down a little. I keep these thoughts to myself. Everyone looks freaked out enough without any more speculation. So instead, I lean back in my seat, deciding to just close my eyes. We're on our way out, and soon I'll be safe in a police station or a hospital or something. It'll be explained when the cops get here. I try not to think about Duke on the ground, Janice in the diner, Jenna out there, somewhere. with that thing. I shake my head, eyes still closed. Are you okay, Chase? TJ's arm is still around mine, the places where our fur is pressed together getting hot and sweaty. I don't mind, though, as long as it brings him some comfort. Yeah, I'm just tired. Actually, now that I mention it, I am pretty tired. I didn't exactly get much sleep in Kudzu's trailer, or Brian's. I start to drift off as my head bumps gently against the headrest, the soft whir of the AC on my forehead. What the fuck? The car lurches as Leo slows us down again. Reluctantly, I open my eyes, half expecting to see some other kind of nightmarish ghoul out the window. But I don't see anything, just the road stretching ahead of us.
What's wrong?
Leo's quiet for a moment. I can't see his face since I'm right behind him, but I can see the outline of his twitching ears. I don't... Leo turns in his seat, looking out the passenger window, then his own. I'm heading the right way, right? I look out the window as well, not seeing anything except sagebrush and cacti. But then I do notice something. The mountains, which had been on the right, are now on my left, rising up ominously in the distance. Had we turned around somehow? Unless we're on the highway, which we definitely aren't.
This road merges right onto the highway. There's no way we can miss it.
I hear TJ gasp softly next to me. I look over at him, but he's looking straight ahead, out the windshield. I do the same. In the distance I see the headlights off on the side of the road. No way.
What is it?
Leo brings the car to a hard stop, throwing me forward into the seatbelt. Then he does a quick three-point turn, shoving me right, then left, before I'm smacked back into the seat as Leo accelerates again.
Whoa, careful. My parents will kill me if you fuck up their ride.
Carl laughs nervously, but no one pays attention to him. There's no fucking way. I was going straight. There's that side road that takes you to some of the trails. Maybe we sort of went off on... Leo snaps at the link suddenly. There's no way, TJ. The road is fucking gravel. I would have noticed. Leo's hunched in his seat like an angry dad, staring out the windshield, his ears practically dancing on his head. I can feel TJ trembling, so I lean into him a bit, letting him know that I'm here. It's clear that Leo doesn't want any talking, so we're all quiet. This time I keep my eyes open, staring out the window in case Leo did get sidetracked somehow. I focus on the mountains, making sure they don't disappear. They slope up and down gently under the moonlight, speckled with the dark spots of rock and vegetation. Vaguely, I remember back when I'd been obsessed with skateboarding, and had always imagined myself skating those slopes on car trips to Peyton. Up and down, up and down. If only Echo had anything like that. He's talking about that thing you do where you're in a passenger in a car and you just like imagine someone running along the landscape at the rate that you're going at. It's like that, and when I do the game where I always try to split the orchards when you're driving by them. You try to catch all the straight lines through because of the grid that they're in.
Yeah, if you stare long enough, it looks like it looks like legs running. Like, you just see like the lanes like switch back and forth. It just looks like there's like a big legs like running across the road like next to you. Yeah. I used to look at the hills and pretend like they're all like forested. So I used to pretend like dinosaurs were chasing us and they were like running along the hills and like it was Jurassic Park.
Well, guess what? Something really fast is chasing them.
Ah!
Yeah.
Not as cute as a dinosaur.
No. The only slope we had was one. It was the one down from Carl's mansion, and it was way too big. I tried to skateboard down it once, but that had ended in a disaster when... I blink, staring out the window as the mountains just disappear, slope down into nothing. I squint, then I look out Carl's window. Sure enough, mountains. Leo. I know. Leo speeds up instead of turning around, though. This is imfucking possible. What are you doing? TJ's claws come out again against my skin as he gets that scared cat look in his eyes. Leo mumbles, mostly to himself. There's no way we're going back to Echo.
Leo, slow down a little.
Leo lets out a small growl, but relents, and TJ's grip on my arm loosens some. I'm going to keep going until I see that car, because I sure as hell didn't turn around that time. The tone in Leo's voice keeps any of us from arguing. Though I hate to admit it, something about his demeanor has me just as scared of him as I am of whatever is out there. But also, going back to the car is really bad because that's the last known location of the thing.
Well, you said until I see that car, because last time that was the indication is that they saw the headlights out in the distance, and they're like,
yeah,
we're fucking facing the car again. So that's when he like flipped around. So if he ends up seeing the headlights in the distance again, he'll know that he's the same fucking thing. I don't think they're gonna drive up to the car. They better fucking not, because that's a bad idea.
Another minute of driving, more awkward silence. Then Leo hisses through his teeth. Straight ahead of us, the headlights disappear.
Do they appear?
What? I must be dreaming. It's like we're stuck in some kind of loop. Leo slows down more and more until we come to a gentle stop. We sit there in silence, staring at my car about 100 yards in front of us.
Oh, they got too close to it. 100 yards is not far enough away.
Leo starts muttering darkly to himself, looking out the windows, looking at the dashboard. I want to ask him if he's okay, but I know what the answer is. TJ makes soft whimpering sounds next to me, like he's trying not to cry, and I finally put my arm around him. It's okay, it's just dark, and we're going off road somehow. I whisper whatever comes to mind to explain what the fuck is happening. Carl has his head down in his paws, completely quiet. He could be asleep for all I know. I think about suggesting that maybe we should just wait it out until morning in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But as I open my mouth, I hear a scratching noise towards the back of the car. TJ's ears perk up, which lets me know that I'm not the only one. Instinctively, I turn around in my seat. Bits of glass fly into my face, and the next thing I know, I'm cowering in the seat, head down as far as I can push it. Carl, very much awake now, screams at Leo.
Go, go, go!
Leo's already on it, and I feel the car jolt forward. Then I'm bouncing up and down in my seat as we go off-road, Leo not bothering with a three-point turn this time, instead going for a full U-turn. We're back on the asphalt, and speeding down the road when I feel it's safe enough to raise my head back up and look out the back window. For a moment, I'm terrified I'm gonna find that thing crouched on the trunk, staring at us. But instead, all I see is a giant hole through the back window, the remaining glass jagged. Are you guys okay? He looks back and forth between us and the road ahead of him. I sit back fully. I think so. I yell at him over the sound of the car and the wind whistling around behind me. Carl's bent over in his seat, too, brushing glass from his hat and hoodie. Oh, hoodie, yeah, right. I look back at TJ, who's still crouched over in his own seat, covering his head. Bits of glass are scattered on his back and in his head fur. I pick some of the pieces out of the fur on his neck and lean over him. TJ, are you okay? TJ shudders and doesn't say anything as I pluck some of the shards from under his collar.
What was that?
Kuzu shouts back at us, staring through the window. I don't know. I don't want to think about what I actually think it was.
I mean, do you know how to... What do you think it is? How do you explain that?
Leo keeps up the high speed, hitting some of the potholes hard enough that I'm worried we're going to get a flat. Then we'd be in some real trouble. We drive on for another 5 minutes in silence, and then the headlights of my car appear in front of us again.
Oh god. And now I'm concerned like they're not even gonna be able to go back to the actual town.
It's not great.
They're just gonna like starve to death
They're
out
stuck
there.
on an infinite loop outside
with a
of
monster.
the town. Trapped on the other side of the monster. This time no one says anything, and Leo doesn't bother turning around. I watch out my window as we fly past my old car. Duke is still there on the ground, no movement from where he was last time we saw him. Since this is the area where the creature seems to be prowling, I look out the back window. I want to be ready in case it tries to come through again. But nothing happens. All I see is a small stretch of asphalt illuminated red from the taillights, and all I hear is the wind whipping through my ears. I keep a hand on TJ's back as he continues to remain hunched over. Carl sits quietly, staring out his window. On the bright side, the bashed-in back window has diminished the smell of the sick.
There's a bright side, guys.
Always look on the bright side of death. Sparse dots of light show up on the horizon, indicating where Echo is. That's when Leo speaks up. Alright, what we're going to do is head back to my house. You guys can get some sleep while I figure out what to do next. Leo pauses, but no one says anything. Sound good?
Yeah.
I'd feel safer in Kudzu's house.
I know, I was like, Kudzu, let us stay at your house.
Well, he's in like a solid kind of like raised metal trailer.
Yeah.
And Leo's fucking bedroom has a window, like right next to his bed. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that right now in this situation.
Well, and also, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a little bit leery. I mean, I understand that things are tense and situation is unique, but I'm a little bit leery of Leo. And so having him watch over us with his gun while we sleep is something I'm kind of scared of. I'd rather have Kudzu watch over us while we sleep with his gun, even if he can't shoot it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much left to do.
Leo grunts and hunches forward in his seat again. There's a sinking feeling in my stomach at the thought of going back to Echo.
Well, I mean, what, you'd rather stay here?
There is the comfort of at least not being out in the wilderness, but I wonder if that's much worse than the town. Even with that creature prowling around.
It's worse. It's worse than... It's worse.
Hey, a painted landscape.
That's a nice one.
This is rare. I stare out my window, watching the mountains move slowly under the moonlight as we turn onto Lake Emma Road. I'm wondering if taking one of the mountain roads out of town would be worth it. Whether we'd have enough gas when it happens. Oh,
fuck.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
A crouched figure sits on the peak of the hill, just about 50 feet from where we are. I was waiting, like, the moment...
You saw the painted landscape, so you knew.
Yeah, it's just an element of, like... It's a form of, like, genre setup, I guess, is that, like, given the format of the story, if you get a weird, unique scene, you're like, why? Why is there a unique scene? Is it just a cool moon? I don't think it's just a cool moon. Something's gonna happen.
I can't make out what that looks like. It's confusing for me visually.
It's a chupacabra.
It kind of does look like a chupacabra.
I don't know. It's a crouched... Yeah. It's not... It doesn't look like it's a furry.
Damn.
It looks like a bad. I squint at it, just barely able to make out what looks like shoulders and a head, hunched up under the light of the moon. I'm directly across from the thing when I open my mouth. But I'm barely able to make a sound when it moves.
It's gone now!
It dashes down the hill in the blink of an eye, covering the distance between it and our car in a matter of 2 seconds. One moment I'm staring at a tiny black figure, and the next it's right up against the car, smashing into the side between Leo's door and mine. My head smacks into the glass, and I see a flash of white. At the same time I hear Kudzu shout at us to hold on. TJ screams, Carl yells. Fuck that. My feet are fucking freezing.
Wow. Oh no, where are we now?
I open my eyes and stare down at them. It's almost too dark to see, but I can hear the sounds of sloshing water and screaming. Chase? Chase! What? We're at Lake Emma Road, so it's a bad place. My head aches, and there's something in my eyes that stings. Everything's blurry. Chase, are you okay? A big paw prods at my chest and I look up. I can barely make out the outline of ears. Leo? Wait. And it hits me like the car crash we were just in. That thing. I look out my window again, but it's all shattered and spider-webbed. But I can see what looks like water pouring through it.
Oh, we drove into the lake.
At the same time, I feel that icy cold sensation running down my back as the water comes through the broken back window like a waterfall. We crashed into the fucking lake. Chase!
Good thing you're an otter.
I'm awake. I'm good. I grab at my seatbelt, taking way longer than it should to get it undone. All the while, there's a bizarre, feral, yowling sound next to me, and I don't realize that it's TJ until his claws find my chest and arm and dig in. Ow! TJ, stop! Calm down. But he doesn't even respond, continuing on with that god-awful sound.
I just imagine a cat yowling like,
yeah, exactly.
Through the window.
Carl's already up on the rear deck, trying to push through the water coming in.
Use your head. Come on.
Carl's screaming, panicked voice disappears suddenly, and I can only hope that it's because he got out. Jace? Jace, come on, we need to get you out. I feel Leo's big paws grabbing at me, but I turn and push them away. I'm fine. Let me help TJ. Chase! Leo, I am a fucking otter. The water at this point is up to my chest. The car's front end is tipped down into the water, and with the sparse moonlight coming in through the back, I can see it's up to Leo's neck. Kudzu is somehow in the back with me and TJ, where Carl was. He's staring at me, eyes wide, looking torn between escaping and helping me. Go, Kudzu, through the window. Leo, get out through your door.
You idiot, go out through your door.
Chase, go. I scream at basically everyone, and I can only hope they do as I say as I duck down and the water goes over my head. The quiet peace of underwater is a sharp contrast to the fucking chaos my brain is in. Somehow, in the wreck, the back seat crunched forward and TJ's seatbelt buckle button is lost somewhere in the crease. I grit my teeth. I can hold my breath for almost 10 minutes, but I know for most other species it's less than 2. Far less if you're panicking out of your mind like TJ is. I grit my teeth, and I calmly try to reach between the seat and the back, despite the desperate clawing the lynx is giving me. Again, though, it's far too wedged in to get a hold on. Soon my calm demeanor melts away as I fumble uselessly with the seatbelt, and time stubbornly marches on. I feel myself starting to panic as I just grab TJ around the body and yank as hard as I can. But it's no use at all, and when I pull on the chest strap, it's jammed and I can't get it, and I can't get any slack.
I hate when that happens.
TJ's grasping and clawing starts to become weaker. I try to think of something to use to cut the strap, but there's nothing. Maybe a shard of glass? I move up and away from TJ, towards the back window, trying to ignore how weakly he tries to clutch at me. As I reach up the seat, though, my hand slips between the headrest and rear deck. I reach in further and realize it's the trunk of the car. With a lunge, I reach down and feel along the bottom of the seat back. My paw runs against something hard and metal, and I know that I found what I'm looking for. I grab up the buckle and unlatch it. Swimming around as quickly as I can, I grab the strap across TJ's chest and set my feet against the seat. I pull back as hard as I can, and just like that, it comes undone. I scoop TJ up, his limp body giving me an extra burst of adrenaline as I set my feet against the back of the driver's seat and push out. My aim is a little off, and my head hits the ceiling instead, but I'm able to find the hole pretty quickly and kick through it. It's a little awkward to undulate my body into a nice clean swim with TJ's weight, but I manage it well enough, and within seconds we break the surface. I breathe out into the air while TJ coughs and sputters. His arms wrap around my neck tightly, and I have to put a paw under his arms to keep him from strangling me. TJ, we're good. You're good. Calm down. I look around and I'm amazed to see how far we are from the shore. It's a good 100 yards away. I can already see Kudzu standing there, and Leo's in the shadows, shouting to Carl, who's a few feet further in, splashing around. I kick off in that direction as TJ continues to hyperventilate into my ear. TJ, it's okay. Remember when we used to ride on my back in the lake? It's like that. Like old times? I try to adopt a soothing tone between my ragged gasps for air. TJ finally settles down on my back, though his arms are still around my neck. Still a lot better than him dragging me down with him. His gasps calm down as we get closer to the shore, tapering off into the weird sort of mumbling sound. I can make out a few words, though, and one of them is a name. Sydney. I frown and swim a bit faster, wanting to get him to dry land so that he can get his wits back together. I think he thinks that I'm Sydney. Meanwhile, Carl finally grabs into Leo's outstretched paws and the wolf pulls him back onto shore. All the while, he stares at me and TJ intently. He didn't deserve... Shh. I shush him gently as I finally feel my toes find the sandy bottom of the lake. I gently pull the lynx back with me to the narrow strip of sand between the lake and the incline that slopes up the road. Carl's already there, flat on his back, spread eagle, so I do the same with TJ, laying him down right next to the ram. He's still trying to talk, though. Chase, did Sydney... How long did he... Gently, I put a paw over the lynx's muzzle. It's all right, man. Try to relax. Breathe. Kudzu stands next to me and starts to reach out to touch my shoulder.
You okay?
And then a much larger paw comes out from behind me, pushing Kudzu's arm aside as I'm pulled back into a tight hug.
Get out of my way. She pushes Kudzu aside.
Leo huffs into my ear. Thank God. You were under for so long. I'm okay. I reach back with a paw, setting it against the side of Leo's face. When I bring it back, I see that it's a bit darker than it should be. I look back and immediately see the gash on the side of Leo's face. Shit, your head. Leo brushes off my paws. Your head? I think we both hit our windows when something hit us. I reach up, feeling around my forehead before I feel a sore, sticky spot in my fur. It isn't a bad cut, but it's definitely leaking a good amount of blood. It was that thing we saw next to Duke. I saw it standing on a hill and it just ran at us.
It didn't look like the same thing, though.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's just weird. It's just a weird nightmare thing. I look over at Kudzu, who's moved to stand over Carl, his arms hugging his chest tightly. Kudzu, are you okay? That's not a face he usually gives us.
He's extra grumpy.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
His response is tense and a little high-pitched.
I don't know about Carl, though. He had a little trouble swimming back.
Carl lets out a choked cough in response.
Carl doesn't seem like he'd be a good swimmer.
I gently pull away from Leo and kneel down next to the ram, between him and TJ. He's conscious, luckily, though his panting is a bit shallow. I set a paw gently on his head. Are you okay?
Yeah?
He says it like he's asking me a question. You sure?
I mean, yeah, I'm breathing. I didn't mean to leave you guys, but...
It's fine. Staying with us would have made things way worse. It's strange to me how collected I am right now. I guess it's that same numbing feeling that I've felt ever since escaping Brian's trailer. Just take the fucked up stuff in and roll with it.
I'm not bad at swimming, but it was so fucking cold and my clothes felt like 1,000,000 pounds.
Looking at his thick sweater, it isn't a surprise at all. TJ's quieted down next to me. His eyes are open, staring up at the sky as he chuffs quietly. They're so wide and glassy I can see the reflection of the stars twinkling in them. I tentatively reach out and rest a paw on his head, like I did with Carl. TJ barely reacts, continuing to stare up at the sky. Teach? I feel Leo's huge presence crouch down next to me as he gets close and whispers into my ear. Listen, we should get going to my house. I don't like being out here, especially if that thing really did do it. But TJ, I don't know if he's able. I'll carry him. And he does, scooping the lynx up into his arms like he's a baby. Alright, come on, we can rest at my house. Let's just get the fuck out of here. Leo starts trekking up the rocky slope. Kudzu and I wait for Carl, who lays on the ground a moment longer before finally rolling over and getting laboriously to his feet. I hold one hand, and Kudzu holds the other, and together we make our way onto the road and back into Echo. Well.
Yeah, gosh. Well, we went through a lot today.
Yeah, that was a lot of eventful. Jesus Christ.
Dude.
I thought that TJ was going to choose that. I mean, not choose, but like have that moment of like being like relapsing into like not being here.
Yeah.
Like in the worst possible moment.
Like go back into his freak out.
Well, so Duke's dead.
That's okay. I'm not. Well, Duke.
I predicted his death very exactly like 2 or 3 episodes ago too. I was like, oh, okay, that's what's going to happen.
What was it that?
Because we were warned that there might be a thing out there, and Duke stole our car, and I'm like, oh, he's going to drive out there and get killed by the thing.
Yeah, and obviously we needed like someone else to die as an example of what like could happen to us, kind of thing. But remember in the last playthrough with Carl, we found Duke dead, but with something metal in his head. But then
plastic. I
plastic.
Think.
It was like something foreign object. Like
yeah. No, he was his head was like half gone, and there was something plastic in his head. Like
yeah.
I don't remember if it was described as orange or if I just thought of it as orange.
I don't think it was described as orange.
But like he has a strange death of unknown cause.
Well, it seems like I feel like maybe he's gonna die in every playthrough, but maybe it's it could just be something that they never bring up again, like maybe the fuzzy, the black hairy thing that we may or may not ever hear about again.
Or maybe we will.
Which could be a reference to the spider. Like I thought maybe that's just what that was supposed to be, but they didn't confirm.
The spider that was covered in spiders. It was pregnant.
The spider squared.
Yeah, the fractal spider. Yeah. No, fractal spider's a horrible thought.
That's my new band name, the Fractal Spiders.
That's my folk punk band.
That is what the kind of band I'd have.